Good morning. It is Tuesday, November 1st. I almost said April. And would you be surprised if I did? No, you wouldn't. Good morning. It is Tuesday, November 1st, puts us 90 days out from January 30th. So we're about to roll into February insofar as what our efforts today are going to bring us in the next 90 days. So almost through the month of January. It is November 1st. Can't remind you enough. We had Jen Vashon, our managing broker, and Brittany Goodell, our director of licensing, on a couple of weeks ago, Monday. Maybe it was about a week ago. Nonetheless, they came on to talk about the fact that you're getting your emails about your dues being due. And that is just a thing. It is a cost of doing business in real estate that your dues come around annually. So make sure that you are setting aside that money or stroking that check immediatamente. And don't forget to, should you choose to, you have the opportunity in your next couple of closings or in your next closing, you can just send off an email. If you'd like to send off an email, please let Tristan and Kaylee, it's mca@kwclm.com, mca@kwclm.com. You can shoot them an email and just ask them to hold out the proper amount for your said state, and they can put it into agent reserves for you if you would like to. So if you want to reach out to them for that, might make your life easier. That way it's not going into the account and might get lost amidst the Hanukkah shopping and the Christmas shopping and all that kind of stuff, which is also very important, although we can't function legally if we do not have our dues renewed and remain a member of our board. And just so people understand, if you are caught up in the thought process that, well, if I let it lapse, there might be a late fee, blah, blah, blah. I appreciate all that. I completely understand. The concern is if we get to a point where, oh, I just noticed my video's lagging. Hold on, I'm going to shut this. I'm going to do this. I don't know what's happening in America today. Let's see if that fixes it. I guess it fixed it. We're still on, but everything here got wonky. So we're back. Should you go past your dues with your board and not renew, it gets to a point where they will shut off access for your local MLS to the entire office. That's why we're initially concerned for you as the individual. Above and beyond that, we're remarkably concerned that we would lose access as an office to said MLS per state. So wildly important you guys stay locked and loaded on that. So as you're getting those emails coming in, please do not put that into a folder. Please do not delete, which is French for I don't feel like paying my dues. It's not a great idea. And a reminder for next year to start to prepare for this. And for next year, too, when you get on the other side of the holidays, you can start to just set aside what you need to do. A lot of people pay their taxes quarterly. You could set aside the certain amount and just put it into, as the great Dave Ramsey would say, you could put it into your envelope for your dues and then just have it there and know that it's a done deal. So the conversation about dues, I'm going to remind you guys consistently for the rest of the year that it's a thing, it's important, and I know it's a fascinating pain in the ass that your dues come at this time of the year, and that is never going to change. So said with love, make sure you tackle it and you communicate with people. If you see your board calling, you see us calling, you're getting an additional email, it's only because we want to make sure that you are up to speed on what you need to do to remain, in good status with your board. So you can continue to have access, along with the rest of us, to the MLS and be doing things legally, of course, is the most important concern. So that's out of the way. What do we have going on for the rest of the day? We've got an opportunity to do conversation and script practice. That is at 11 o'clock today on Keller TV. We're going to do it every Tuesday at 11, conversation and script practice. And then we're going to do noontime. There is the 72 Sold. If you've seen the webinar for 72 Sold, so this is a listing aggregator, a horse of a different color. It's a different approach to aggregating listings for the end user, you, the agent. And if you have questions about it, the webinar is today at noon. It's 72 Sold. The link is in the morning news. And by clicking on that link, there I said it, by clicking on that link, You will see when you go into the opportunity to sign up for today's webinar at 12, there are a few more dates in November that you can attend the webinar. And they'll have more information about what it actually is. It's been vetted by the company. Gary believes in this tool, and it may be the opportunity for you to do something non-traditional to gather more opportunities at kitchen tables. So that being said, there's a lot of stuff. There are a lot of tools out there, guys. I want to make sure you don't just gather them all like you're going Christmas shopping and just grabbing gifts off the shelf. I want you to focus on, hey, maybe this one's appropriate for me. I'm going to test drive this one. We talk about this in Business Planning Clinic all the time. And then you're going to red light, green light it. You're going to make sure it is performing for you. And for a lot of tools that we know perform well for a lot of people, you have to ask yourself, well, is it a failure on the tool's behalf, or is it a failure on the end user's behalf? So when you are going to lean into some of these opportunities, I just ask that you don't overload yourself. People do it time and time again. They're going to start to acquire leads from a myriad of aggregators. And then the next thing you know, you've got so much stuff coming and you don't really have the leverage to make sure you're getting back to these leads in a timely fashion, which is a massive disservice to you. Massive disservice to you. We know right now, and this number has changed and gotten so much faster over time because of the immediacy of people being able to get back to their leads. We know it's within seconds now. Like one of the tools that's out there right now, if you're working with OpCity or OpCity within Rise, when they send you that opportunity, it is nationally between 7 and 9 seconds that you're accepting the lead. 7 and 9 seconds that you're accepting the lead. So much so, one of the hacks, if you don't know this, you do now. Lots of stuff going on with my phone. One of the hacks, obviously, is never mind the lead coming to your phone. If you have an Apple Watch, the goof now is if you have an Apple Watch, the lead actually hits your watch faster than it hits your phone. So, and I'm not making this up. I know people that have purchased Apple Watches. And I think now you can get your hands on the Series 7. The Series 8 just came out. The Ultra just came out. It's awesome. It's huge. It's ridiculous. It's going to hit your watch first. So if you're worried about getting the lead super fast, that's a hack with these aggregators that are disseminating. They're doing like a jump ball lead style, right? Like they're just chucking it out. Whoever gets it first gets it. So you do need to get to these leads really fast with some of these aggregators. Zoe said it best. Some of these, because of the connectivity that you need to have to the aggregator, it's not really an aggregator, it's a lifestyle. You have to be prepared to be on at all times. And then there's other ones that you pay for a certain amount of leads. They send you the lead, you got the lead, nobody else got the lead. And I appreciate people's mindset that, I'll call it later. I don't want to call it right now. That looks needy. They just signed up on the resource. And what we need to understand right now, as buyers are on these portals and they're on these aggregators and they're putting their information in, they're opting in with their information. And if John Q. Citizen is on Realtor and on Boomtown and on Billo, they're on all these different aggregators, they're just kicking tires on all these websites, it really is whoever gets back to them first with the highest value proposition. So if you are utilizing aggregators right now and you're getting lead flow from an outside source, call that as soon as you get it. Call it as soon as you get it. I think it's wildly important that we don't wait on those. These people are shopping right now. They're probably going to be a little hesitant when you do reach out because they're not expecting, the day and age we live in right now, they're not expecting an actual human to call. So when you do, you're already off on the right foot, that they're not getting a bot or an automated voicemail or a generated email. And depending on how you have your aggregator set up in your CRM, whether it's Command or whatever the case may be, you might have some of those things happening in real time. The power of your voice coming through on the phone. And we know this. Where's the book? It's over here with all the other books. If you've ever read Michael Mayer, The 7 Levels of Communication, Michael Mayer, the 7 levels of communication. He says in here the highest form of communication is obviously, we talk about face to face, but it's really your voice, and in this format, it's the method and the message. The method being your voice, the message being the personal invite, right? So people will connect with that, and people aren't used to it. We are a society that's getting away from making phone calls and having conversations. That doesn't make it right. And it also leaves a huge opportunity for you guys to steal people's cheese. And I'm going to say that until I get tired of saying it, and I don't feel like I'm going to get tired of saying it. It is cheese stealing season right now. So many agents are putting their feet up right now. And they're going to read the press clippings. They're going to fall into the narrative of, you know what, I'll wait for spring. And that's a massive mistake. A massive mistake. So, went off on a tangent there with aggregators and all that kind of stuff. 72 sold. The webinar is 12 noon. The link is in the morning news. You click that link. There's one today at noon. There's a couple more coming up this month. We are now in November. The One Thing series continues. The link is in the news. That is a Keller Williams New England Zoom channel. And the One Thing, of course, is the book that Gary wrote. And the premise in the book of The One Thing is, what is the one thing that I can do that such by doing everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? And for us as realtors, it is lead generation. And when we talk about this, and we're going to talk about this more tomorrow, we've got Business Planning Clinic. I'll be down in Chestnut Hill for Business Planning Clinic. I think a lot of people get caught up. If you have your pocket license on you right now, if you can get to your pocket license, we're legally supposed to carry them with us at all times. If you have your pocket license with you right now, I invite you to pull out anyone that you can get your hands on. I know a lot of you guys have multiple states that might be in your hobo bag or your wallet. Whichever one you can grab. And I assure you, every one of those pocket licenses has the word salesperson. It says salesperson. We are salespeople. Now, that doesn't, I know people hear that and there's a negative connotation to that word. You feel like you're running across a used car parking lot, or you're ambulance chasing, or you're selling snake oil, or you need to be smarmy or deceptive. Our job is salespeople, which at some point during the conversation with your civilians that become consumers, that become clients, that may develop into friendships. At some point, it's our job to help them make a decision. Now, what that decision is up to them. We aid in that decision by bringing them proper information, real information, timely information. With the dawn of the internet, the only thing we have right now is our proximity to the real information and the velocity in which we can get it to our people. And the delta between us and the data and our people is the frequency in which we contact them and the method in which we deliver that information. Because absent that relationship, they're going to get it from somebody else. And you guys are phenomenal agents. I'm going to argue that if they're getting it from another agent, they're probably getting okay information and probably not as timely as it could be. So what does the civilian do? They go on their iPad, they do their research. And it's not that they can't do that, but are they getting raw data? Or are they getting curated data that some website with an agenda or wants to drive the business in a certain direction is going to tell their story, right? Our job is to offer perspective. Our job is to listen to their perspective and then obviously offer our own. And your perspective comes from real data in real time. And your ability to deliver that to the people that need it, real data in real time, is your superpower. So how often are you having those conversations? So getting through the rest of the week, just to bring you guys up to speed, we've got Business Planning Clinic tomorrow in Chestnut Hill. So we were asked to go down there and deliver for their market center. So we will be in the Chestnut Hill Market Center. It is in Newton. I believe I go down there quite a bit for football and stuff like that. I believe you're talking about from this area. You're about 90 minutes from our office. to get down there with traffic. And that's a 9 o'clock start tomorrow. Would love to see you in the room. Please click the link and RSVP, like the business planning clinics we've been offering up here. It is free of cost. I did attach to that one that I would love to see you make a donation to either the Flutie Foundation for Autism or the Pete Frates Foundation for ALS, or the charity of your choice, a $22 donation to the charity of your choice, Doug Flutie Foundation for Autism or the Pete Frates Foundation for ALS, both BC guys. Actually, Nancy Frates is Pete Frates' mom, and she is a Keller kid. So things that are near and dear to my heart. If you want to make a donation of any amount to the charity of your choice, that's what I would like to see. What I really want to see is you guys and the kids from Boston Metropolitan and Boston Northwest and the Chestnut Hill Market Center in the room tomorrow, so we can do business planning clinic and get everybody dialed up for next year, which hypothetically we're already in, right? I mean, if you think about it, we're doing today's activities for opportunities that are going to come to fruition in 90 days, and we're there. We just talked about it. It's January 30th today. It is January 30th today. So you're 2 weeks away from putting a listing together that's going to get you at the closing table just in time to take your sweetheart out for Valentine's Day. Or not. I don't know what couples do these days. The wife and I sometimes go to dinner. It depends. Because Valentine's Day, sometimes I'm getting on a plane to go to family reunion. What are the dates this year? I feel like it's after Valentine's Day. I feel like Gary's gotten better about that date. Gary used to have us occasionally at family reunion during Valentine's Day. 0 stars. Do not recommend. Well, then again, at some point, maybe your spouse or partner wants you out of the house anyway, so who knows. Wednesday, we've got contracts, Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire. That is going on tomorrow, 9, 10, and 11 o'clock, of course. And then we have in-person masterminds. Of course, I do the town hall masterminds on Thursdays. We're traveling. I will be in Wells at 9 o'clock on Thursday, the Wells office, 9 o'clock on Thursday. And then I will be in the York office, 11 o'clock on Thursday. And then I'm swinging it back this way. I'm only allowed to be in the room to maybe help because I'm clearly over 30. But there is the under 30 mastermind with the wonderful Nathan W. Dickey. That is 1 to 3 Thursday in Portsmouth in person only. And that really does it. We're gonna talk about. Oh, there's one more really cool thing. Stand by. I'm just making sure I don't get this wrong. Yeah, Portsmouth training room with Melissa Burke. It is Smart Plans for Dummies. So Nate decided this name was a good name because I think people get overwhelmed with what's a campaign, what's a smart plan. Command scares me. It's not scary, and it works. If you're hearing press clippings that it doesn't work, it does work. So be in the room. Join Melissa. That is happening on Thursday Friday from 11 to 12. Friday from 11 to 12. So you get an opportunity to jump in on that Friday from 11 to 12 in Portsmouth with Melissa. Above and beyond all that, I do want to talk to you guys about something that was talked about this morning. And maybe you heard it on James Shaw, maybe you didn't. So I'm going to talk about it right now because I think it's important to bring it up. And it's a really great quote. Someone on Pivot Shift Ahead this morning was talking about fear. And I'm not sure what book she captured this from. If you were involved in that conversation earlier this morning, I would invite you to throw it in the liner notes. I would really appreciate that. The quote from the book, though, was, "What do you fear most? How is that fear serving to protect you? How has that fear stopped you? And if you let go of that fear now, what will happen?" What do you fear most? How has that fear sought to protect you? How has that fear stopped you? And if you let go of that fear now, what will happen? We tell ourselves stories every morning, right? We give ourselves the premise of a story, and then we spend the rest of the day searching for evidence to defend it. So, what fear are you creating for yourself? And we all do it. we were in Mastermind yesterday at 11 o'clock, and somebody brought up the fact that they're so concerned about the rejection, which I completely appreciate. None of us are seeking that out. I get that. What we need to understand is the rejection is not about us. The rejection is not about us. The rejection is about the circumstances they have stacked up in their head that we need to navigate with them as we ask more questions. That's what the scripts are for. And I say this with love. People that don't like the word scripts, I need you to do something for me. Maybe you might want to write this down. Get over it. And I appreciate nationally. I hear it on regional calls. I hear it on national calls. I hear other coaches around the country. Well, we're calling it, and we're doing it here too, but we left scripts in there because I won't drop it. But nationally, we're calling them conversation blueprints. I mean, can we get over ourselves? They are scripts. That's what they are. People that say, well, you know, it's actually negotiations. No, negotiations is something you enter into with scripts. You use scripts to focus your language and your words in order to negotiate. Negotiating is hunting, scripts are ammunition. And I don't mean that in that we're using these words against people. We are arming ourselves with the proper language to help our clients and consumers come to the conclusion that's appropriate for them. And we talked about a book that I absolutely adore. I know I talk about it quite a bit, but I'm going to remind you guys to pick it up because I think it's important for us to have as we head into the 2023 market. It's from Jia Zhang. I do believe I'm pronouncing that right. Jia Zhang. It's he is Jiajiang. Jia Zhang. It's called Rejection Proof. The book is white. There is an umbrella on the cover, and all the rejections are bouncing off of it. Jia Zhang. And I'll give you a quick premise of what the book is all about. 3 great stories from the book. And why we should celebrate the rejection. Because it's on the pathway to the yes. So the premise of his book is he sought out to get the no. And he's, believe on the East Coast, I think New York. He goes into a Krispy Kreme and he speaks to a girl behind the counter and asks if the manager is there. Of course, the manager comes out. She's about 2 years older than the other girl because it's a Krispy Kreme. And he says, she's like, how can I help you? And he's like, I was wondering if you could put, is it 7 for the Olympic rings, I think? If you could put 7 Krispy Kreme original donuts together and then ice them in a color-coordinated way so they represented the Olympic rings. And the girl sort of looked at him like, and she's like, when do you need that by? And he's like, I will absolutely take that by 4 o'clock. I don't know, when do you close, whatever. So she told him to come back at 4 o'clock. He goes back. She has it ready. He's looking at it, and he just says to her, he's like, why were you willing to do this? She's like, because it was just so different. We do a lot of things over and over and over again, and just have a request like that, I was happy to do it. And she said, nobody's ever asked for anything like that. Nobody's ever asked for anything like that. The second story, he's in the Texas area. It's a Sunday in the fall. And I think most of us know what happens in Texas on Sundays, football and Jesus. So he's driving around, sees a driveway, beautiful house, big, huge truck in the driveway. And mind you, Jia Zhang, little Asian guy, in a full soccer kit with a soccer ball under his arm and his iPhone, marches up and knocks on the door. Big, huge dude answers the door. He's like, yeah. And he's like, would you mind using my phone to record me in your backyard dribbling around with the soccer ball? And the guy's like, sure. So they cut through the house. Of course, the pregame for the Cowboys is on. They go out back. He does the thing. The guy uses his phone and records him. They finish up. He thanks him profusely and says, I really appreciate it. And the guy basically says, I got a story to tell for the rest of my life. That was why he was willing to do it. The third story is it's around the holidays. I forget what part of the country he was in. He was delivering poinsettias for the holidays anonymously. So he had a bunch of poinsettias. He was just knocking on doors, knocks on this one lady's door and says, here's a poinsettia. It's from an anonymous donor. Enjoy the holidays, happy holidays, whatever the case may be. And the woman's just like, oh, no, thank you. And he goes, no, it's not from me. It's from an anonymous donor. They wanted you to have it. And she's like, oh, no, thank you. I can't. And he's like, okay. And he turns around and he starts to walk away. And she's like, don't you want to know why? And he's like, that's the whole premise of why I'm doing this book and all this research. So he turns around. And he's like, of course I do. I apologize. She goes, I'm allergic. For every 20 conversations, we're probably going to run into 19 no's, which isn't really a no. It's just the end of that piece of the conversation. And one more question is probably going to get us to where we need to be. You would think at this point, Jeff would know that I'm doing the quick start. Anyway, when we get those no's, what we need to remember is 95% of the time, it's not about us. It's about a circumstance that the person has stacked up in their head. So don't overthink it. And I'll leave you with the question from this morning. What do you fear most? How has the fear sought to protect you? How has the fear stopped you? And if you let that fear go, what will happen? I really appreciate you guys being in business with us. We all do. And we want to be here for you for whatever you need. So please take a look at the calendar every day. Lean into the opportunities to be with one another, to leverage each other's talent, and to grow stronger for your consumers, right? We get to do real estate every day. We don't have to. We get to do real estate every day. And we're so thrilled that you're doing it here. If I can help with anything, it is meetwithcoach.com. Meetwithcoach.com, 603-834-2856. We'll see you in and around the Market Center. Have a great